Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well informed. Today we're tackling something that probably feels, well, incredibly familiar to you. It's this paradox: why, even though we're busier than ever, always connected, maybe working longer hours, why does real productivity, that feeling of meaningful output, seem so hard to grasp? It's like we're just, running in place sometimes. So we're diving deep into a recent Phoenix article that really tries to unravel this whole mystery, and it challenges quite a lot of what we think we know about being productive today. Our mission here is simple: pull out the key insights from this piece, give you a clear picture of why being obsessed with busy might actually be making us less effective, and, more importantly, what we can maybe do about it. So here's the big question: what if getting more done isn't about speeding up, but slowing down?
Right. That feeling, that frantic activity, but no real results to show for it. I bet a lot of you listening are nodding your heads right now. Checking things off the list, emails flying, notification after notification. But at the end of the day, you kind of think, what did I really achieve?
Hmm.
And this Phoenix article, it nails this experience. It calls it the productivity paradox. What's really fascinating is how it points to this fundamental misunderstanding we have about how our brains actually work productively. It makes this really compelling case that slowing down strategically can actually boost your results quite dramatically. It really does kind of flip the script on conventional wisdom.
It absolutely does, and I think we all feel that struggle, right? Yeah. But the article puts some real numbers behind it. So if we're feeling busy but not effective, what's the root cause? What's actually happening? The article sort of pulls back the curtain on these costs, things that are often invisible but are seriously undermining our work.
Exactly. And the research it cites, it paints a pretty stark picture. Let's start with interruptions. Constant interruptions. We all deal with them. There's University of California research showing that every single time your focus gets broken, a notification, an email ping, someone stopping by, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into that deep focus zone.
23 minutes. Wow. Just let that sink in. Almost half an hour. Every single time. So the article mentions, over 160 distractions a week for many workers. If you add that up, I mean, how could anyone possibly do deep, thoughtful work like that? It seems impossible.
It's incredibly hard. Yeah, practically impossible for sustained deep work. You're constantly resetting your brain, never really hitting that flow state for complex stuff. And tied right into that is task switching. This absolutely kills our cognitive resources. The American Psychological Association is cited saying 40% of adults are routinely multitasking. We all do it, especially with our devices.
And we think we're being efficient, don't we? Like, look at me juggling all these balls.
That's the trap. That's the common misconception. But the reality, the science shows, it doesn't make us more efficient. It actually ramps up stress, and here's the paradox, it reduces our output. The really critical stat the article brings up is that task switching can cost us up to 40% of our productive time.
40%, just gone.
Gone, vanished into thin air, because your brain has to do this kind of mental gear shift every single time you switch tasks. It's like, trying to run too many heavy programs on an old computer, Everything just grinds to a halt. That's your cognitive load being totally overwhelmed.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just the time lost to the distraction, but also the time lost switching back from it or switching between things. And I'm guessing email is a major villain in this story.
Oh, absolutely. The article talks about what it calls email addiction. Get this. Rescue Time data suggests the average worker checks email every 6 minutes.
Every 6 minutes.
Yep, every 6 minutes. It just creates this constant trickle of, frankly, low-value interruptions. It completely shatters our attention, prevents that sustained focus you need for anything really meaningful. So it's no surprise, really, that the article highlights this huge cost, something like $650 billion annually for U.S. businesses just from workplace distractions. That's just astronomical. And it shows the hitting price of this always-on busy culture, a price most companies aren't even properly tracking.
Okay, so that paints a pretty bleak picture. Constant interruptions, losing huge chunks of time to task switching, fragmented attention. So what's the way out? The article brings in this idea from Cal Newport, slow productivity, which honestly sounds completely counterintuitive, right, in our world. Can you break that down? What does slow productivity actually mean, and why is it supposed to be better?
Yeah, it does sound counterintuitive, but that's why it's so powerful. It actually aligns much better with how our brains are designed to work. Cal Newport's whole framework, it shifts the goalposts entirely. Instead of just trying to crank out more tasks, more volume, Slow productivity focuses on the value and the quality of what you produce. It's
Yeah.
about, working with your brain's natural rhythms, not constantly fighting against them. Understanding that just going faster often means sacrificing depth. One of the core ideas is working at a natural pace. That sounds almost radical, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We're pushed to rush everything.
Exactly. Rush, hit the deadline, faster, faster. But the research is pretty clear. Rushing often extends how long a task takes by about 27% because of errors and rework.
Wait, so trying to go fast actually makes you slower in the end.
Yeah.
That's the paradox right there again.
That's it precisely. Think about it. You make mistakes, you have to go back, fix things, maybe you miss something important. It all adds up. By deliberately slowing down, being more focused, more methodical, you paradoxically often finish faster, and the quality is way higher. It's about giving yourself the space to do it right the first time. Then there's the principle of embracing deep work. Newport's definition is great. Professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. This is the stuff that really moves the needle. Serious problem solving, strategic thinking, writing something complex, developing a new idea, coding.
Right. The hard stuff. The stuff that actually requires brain power.
Exactly. And it's the total opposite of what he calls shallow work, that constant email checking, endless meetings, the admin tasks that, let's be honest, fill up way too much of our days. Deep work is where the breakthroughs happen. It's also where you tend to feel more engaged, more satisfied with your work.
So it's about figuring out what that high-value work is for you, and then fiercely protecting the time and mental space to actually do it without all the digital noise.
Fiercely protecting it, yes. And the final piece is creating space for reflection. Studies show pretty consistently that people who build in focused work periods, they perform much better than people stuck in that constant state of partial attention. And for leaders especially, building in time just to think, to reflect, it leads to better decisions, more innovative ideas. It's not just about doing, it's about stepping back to process, connect ideas, let insights bubble up. It's that crucial step we often skip.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory. I mean, who wouldn't want less distraction and more meaningful output, right? Especially knowing about that 40% time loss and the 160 plus distractions. But the big question for everyone listening has to be, how? How do we actually do this stuff? How do we break free from this busyness trap when it feels so baked into our work culture? When bosses expect instant replies or colleagues see activity as value. Does the article give us practical steps, things we can actually try?
It does, thankfully, and that's key. It moves from the why to the how. It offers concrete, evidence-based strategies. First up is implementing time blocking. This is huge. Instead of just reacting to whatever pops up, you proactively schedule chunks of time for specific types of work. Research shows this really cuts down on that costly context switching and boosts the quality of your work. Basically, you're telling your time where to go, not just wondering where it went.
Okay, time blocking. But if someone's never done it, how do you even start? Seems like it could be overwhelming.
Yeah, good point. The article suggests starting small. Don't try to block out your entire week right away. Maybe start with just 2, say, 90-minute deep work sessions each week. But, and this is crucial, you have to protect that time like it's sacred. Turn off the notifications, close the door if you can, signal you're unavailable. Focus only on that high-value task. Treat it like your most important meeting. Because it probably is. It's a deliberate no to distractions so you can say yes to what matters. Second strategy. Practice digital minimalism. There was a Harvard Business School study mentioned. 88% of workers multitask daily, spending almost half their workday, like 3.4 hours, trying to do multiple things at once. Insane. So breaking that requires being really intentional about your tech use. Some tactics. Batch process your email. Check it maybe 2-3 times a day, not constantly. Set clear expectations with your team about response times. Use do not disturb modes during focus blocks. Maybe even remove distracting apps from your phone.
Oof, that one feels like a big one for a lot of us, myself included. It's like that constant pull, that dopamine hit from checking notifications. How do you retrain your brain not to check email every 6 minutes? Is that even possible?
It takes conscious effort, for sure. And really understanding why you're doing it. Remembering that every check pulls you out, erodes your focus. Maybe start small, like no email for the first hour of the day. Then maybe extend it. It's about creating friction for the distractions and making focus the easier path. Third strategy is model what matters. This is especially key for leaders. Your behavior sends powerful signals. If you're always frantic, always instantly responsive, always multitasking, you're telling your team that's what's valued. Instead, leaders need to model focused attention, thoughtful prioritization, maybe even share when you're blocking time for deep work. Talk openly about productive output versus just being busy. Celebrate quality, not just hours logged or emails sent. That can start to shift the culture.
That is so important. Because often it's the culture, the unspoken rules that are the hardest things to change. If everyone else is always on, it feels risky to opt out.
It absolutely is risky. And yeah, it takes courage. But one leader modeling this can start a positive ripple effect. And finally, there's a strategy that sounds really weird at first, but it works. Create strategic stopping points. The article explains that deliberately stopping work at a set time, even if you're mid-task, creates this healthy pressure. It forces you to focus on the most important things during your work time. Apparently, Hemingway used to stop writing mid-sentence each day.
Mid-sentence, that's fascinating. Why? So it was easier to start the next day.
Partly that, yeah, easier to dive back in. But the article suggests it also leverages how our brains work. Your brain keeps processing the problem unconsciously during the downtime, so you often come back with fresh ideas or solutions. It's like using your subconscious mind, not just brute conscious effort. Plus, it helps prevent burnout, stopping you from pushing through exhaustion just to finish.
These aren't just quick tips, are they? They're fundamental shifts in how we approach work. And they definitely require, like you said, a bit of courage. Courage to push back against that culture of constant activity and instant gratification. It means changing habits that are really deep-seated.
Yeah, exactly. Moving from just being busy to being truly meaningfully productive, it definitely requires courage. It means having the guts to say no sometimes, even to good things, so you can focus on the great things. It means maybe dealing with a bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, to gain JOMO, the joy of missing out on all the noise that doesn't really add value. And yeah, actively challenging those cultural norms that mistakenly equate being frantic with being valuable. It's not easy, but it's vital. But the payoff, as the Phoenix article really drives home, it's huge. People and leaders who actually embrace this slow productivity idea, they don't just get better results or higher quality work. They also report feeling more fulfilled, less stressed, having better health, even stronger relationships, both at work and outside of it. You essentially reclaim your time and your attention, which, let's face it, are probably our most valuable resources today. The core message, I think, is really powerful and clear. Your value isn't about how many things you cross off a list, it's about the significance of what you actually contribute. Productivity isn't just busyness, it's meaningful progress on the things that truly matter.
So we've really unpacked a lot there. The hidden, quite staggering costs of always being on. That's science behind slow productivity, thanks to thinkers like Cal Newport. And crucially, those practical strategies to start reclaiming our focus, getting more of the right things done, despite those 160 distractions and that massive 40% time suck from task switching. This Phoenix article really gives us a lot to think about, challenging how we define productivity itself. So as you go about the rest of your day, maybe dealing with those very distractions we talked about, we want to leave you with that central, provocative question from the article. What would actually change for you if you dared to slow down in order to speed up where it counts? And remember, this isn't just about your job. It's about making space for what truly matters across your whole life. Maybe think about how these ideas could apply beyond just your work to-do list. Making room for deeper connections, learning, just meaningful progress in general.